All right, if everyone could take their seats, we're going to get started for this exciting panel, 50 Ideas in 50 Minutes. Dora, can you hear me? All right, so for those of you who missed the awards lunch, Dora Delgado was the winner of our big Clay Pewitt Award as the person that gave the most to racing this year, and we celebrated her accomplishments with the Breeders' Cup and all she's done to make that event an amazing, amazing event year after year. So congratulations, Dora. We didn't get to do it down there, but I wanted to personally congratulate you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay, she had 16 hours of flight delays and still couldn't make it here. So we'll turn it over to Donna again for the 50 Ideas in 50 Minutes.
To save time. Thank you. I don't know why they call people who talk into mics the talent, because we really don't have the talent. It's the AV people who have the talent, so thank you very much. So anyway, Dora, I'm glad that you're joining us via Zoom and that we can hear you, and hopefully you can hear us. To save time, and it's already 4:03, and we're going to have to go quick, I'm going to give you a brief introduction of all of our panelists, and if you want to learn more about them, you can look them up on the website, but they really need no introduction for the most part. Next to me is Alex Dadoyan. He's been involved with horse racing for more than 25 years and is currently the director of racing at MGM Resorts Yonkers Raceway. Dora Delgado is joining us via Zoom after a nightmare evening that she spent in Atlanta unintentionally. She's been with Breeders' Cup since 1983. While she serves many roles at Breeders' Cup, her current title is Executive Vice President and Chief Racing Officer at Breeders' Cup Limited. Liza Hendriks is here. She's a 2020 Godolphin Flying Start program graduate who created an online auction company called Wannamakers, which was acquired by Inglis in 2024. She is now the CEO of Inglis Digital USA. Jay Hovdey is at the end over there. He's a 5-time Eclipse Award-winning journalist who's plied his trade in the sport of horse racing longer than many people, like Liza, have been alive. He is currently a national columnist for BloodHorse publications. And then we have Dick Powell here in the middle. He is a horse racing consultant specializing in business and legislative issues, domestic and international simulcasting, account wagering, and fan education. So yeah, he knows a lot. His racing and gaming services consultant company has advised many top tracks in the United States and abroad. Let's get started. And with that said, Alex, you are about to be on the clock. Go.
Okay. A lot of restaurants will offer early bird specials to encourage people to come out early because they're trying to they're trying to incentivize the diners to fill the need. And in racing, we all know everybody bets at the last minute. And there are plenty of people that are not price sensitive. They know what they're going to bet. They are not waiting to look at the board. They know they like the 2-horse. They're going to bet the 2-horse, and they still wait. So if we offered people an incentive to bet early, maybe a better price or a better rebate, it'll help everybody to have more liquidity in the pools early. People can make their decisions, more informed decisions quickly, and I think it would help the industry.
So the good thing is our panelists can also see the countdown clock, and so with that, we move on to Jay Hovdey.
Thank you, Donna. Just because claiming races make up the majority of U.S. racing programs, that does not mean it's right or it's healthy. Claiming races are a holdover from a time when familiar bunches of horses were passed around among trainers and owners as a handy way to create competitive fields and move merchandise. The claiming game has come a long way since then. Modern claiming outfits are kind of little more than glorified chop shops. They move horses along for the short money, and the constant change in routine cannot be, well, it can be only counterintuitive to the welfare of the horses. Studies have shown even that claiming horses suffer injuries and fatalities at a greater rate than their non-claiming counterparts. The answer is eventual transition to the kind of rating system that is provided and proved so efficient in jurisdictions around the world. Owners can run at all levels without risking their horse. Racing secretaries can simplify their condition books and fill races more efficiently, and the horses will benefit most of all.
I didn't cut him off because I knew Jay would wrap quickly. All right, we move on to Dora.
Thank you. At this symposium many years back, there was a speaker from ESPN that had remade championship poker. He said live television coverage of tournament games was like watching paint dry. So they remade the format, took it off live, gave percentages of possibility for the player's current hand on screen with real-time updates on each card drawn, and the popularity of poker soared. We need to make racing presentations for the general public more user-friendly. Instead of odds like 7 to 2, which is something non-racing people really can't understand, develop an algorithm that establishes a likelihood of winning percentages. This horse has an 85% chance of winning. This horse has a 25% chance of finishing third. We repackage our big event racing programs to offer a more condensed, visually appealing, on-screen graphic format to capture first-time viewers. Get them watching first, and then they'll want to watch live programs later. For the 2 days of British World Championships, we're on it.
Dora, you're up. Sorry, we got to move on. All right, well, we're going to have to move on to Liza.
Many of today's top trainers, owners, and agents were introduced to racing through simple children's programs like track tours and on-hand experience. These early experiences can expose kids to a lifelong passion for the industry. And this isn't just a coincidence. Children's programs are a proven way to inspire passion and secure the future of our sport. By expanding and funding these children's programs, we can create a pipeline of trainers, owners, and agents and professionals throughout the industry. The next generation of racing enthusiasts are out there. By introducing young people to the magic of horse racing early, we can nurture their interest and ensure the sport's longevity.
So I moved ahead. Do I move back? Because this is his slide. This is Dick's slide. Do I move back to, and then, okay, so sorry, I was on the wrong slide for you. Okay, now Dick, we're at your slide. You go.
Okay, I live in Saratoga. We have a lot of maiden races with first-time starters. They come in the paddock, and lo and behold, many of them are wearing blinkers. Blinkers is not in the program for first-time starters. Why? Why don't we know that? It could be declared at entry. It's a data point in past performances. And if we had that information, then we might know which trainers do better with blinkers with their first-time starters than without blinkers. Maybe the second time they put blinkers on and the horse improves. But we don't have that starting point with debut horses, and it's just kind of critical. If you're there, you see it, but it might be a pick 5, and you've already 2 legs in, and now here's a hot-looking horse that looks sharp and that's wearing blinkers, might be fast. So please give us blinker information or anything else with first-time starters.
Thank you. All right, now we move back to Alex.
Okay, there's plenty of promotions at racetracks now to have a discounted takeout on pick 5s, pick 4s, whatever, and that's great, but those are also hard bets to win. If you're not cashing a ticket, it doesn't matter what the takeout is, you're not cashing. So I think it would be interesting to take a look at diverting some of those funds to promotions in a lower win takeout rate, and you'll accomplish 2 things. People will win more if they're betting win versus betting multi-leg exotics, but then also it makes the board attractive. You know, like if the horse is 8-1 and then with this promotion the horse is 6-1, people are creatures of habit. You look up at the board, you see the better prices on these horses, then you bet exactas and trifectas too with those good odds, even though it's not affecting those pools. So it could help.
Thank you. Jay Hovdey.
If ever an institution has outlived its usefulness, the American graded race system fits the bill. It was born in the early 1970s as a shortcut for European bloodstock markets to understand the hierarchy of North American racing. That's right, it was a sales tool. Over the decades, the system has mutated into a Swiss Army knife of applications like stakes race conditions, qualifying points for high-end events, mitigation of jockey suspensions, mandated purse amounts, advertising. Grades are calculated through a closed loop of data that evaluates backwards and diverts attention forwards. Regional prejudice abounds, especially in today's wildly imbalanced climate of casino-boosted purses. And Charles Sella once stopped using the grades of his major Oaklawn stakes because he didn't like the way they were being treated. Canada pulled out completely from the system, and that was a good idea.
All right, Dora, for you, when you get to 10, I'm going to say 10, so don't let me throw you off if you're still talking. All right, you're on the clock.
The third racing industry faces a critical shortage of equine veterinarians, limiting the ability to ensure the health and well-being of our resources. Racing organizations and tracks should establish scholarship programs for aspiring veterinarians. These programs would cover veterinary college tuition in exchange for contractual 5-year commitment post-graduation. Graduates would serve as track or regulatory vets and sponsoring racetracks, providing a sustainable solution to the veterinarian shortage while reducing student debt.
Yay, wow. All right, well done. All right, we move on now to Liza, you're on the clock.
Racehorse ownership and breeding are declining as the current base ages out. To secure the sport's future, we need innovative ways to attract new participants. NFTs offer an exciting, low-cost entry point for a new audience of high net worth individuals who are used to risky and unique investments. Already, NFTs are revolutionizing other industries. One NFT of LeBron James sold for over $20 million, and other platforms provide fans with exclusive sports experiences. In racing, NFTs could expand our ownership base beyond the traditional bubble, offering digital ownership stakes, exclusive access, and behind-the-scenes experiences.
After this, we'll have a 1-hour conference with Liza to explain NFTs. Now we move on to Dick.
It's been tried in England and it failed miserably, but fractional odds make it very difficult for newcomers to embrace the mathematics of the sport. Instead of having 7 to 2, it would be 3.5 to 1. It's just a whole lot easier to describe the game to newcomers and what pricing really is than having these clunky 9 to 5, 7 to 2s, 9 to 2s, things like that. It's just in the interest of making the game more adaptable to newcomers. I think decimal odds can and should be tried, and the fractional odds have just seen their day. You take a newcomer to the track and you spend way too much time trying to explain what they are. Just go to decimal, make it simple.
I like it. All right, move on to Alex.
I've been fortunate to live just outside New York City my whole life, and one of the things about New York are great restaurants. And it used to be to pick a restaurant, you'd get, back in the day, you'd get the Zagat's Guide, or maybe you'd rely on New York Times reviews. But now you can see a shift, and social media influencers are affecting everyone's desires to go to certain restaurants. There's like legendary places that have been in New York forever. Katz's Deli, John's of Bleecker. They've been there 95, 120 years, and they're great. But now when you go around there, there's lines out the door, around the block. They've been there forever, but they've been able to drum up a whole new interest, whole new people wanting to go check out what this place is. And they are great places. If you're around, you should go, but you can't even go anymore because there's always lines around the block, and that would really help racing.
Jay Hovdey.
To know nothing of what happened before you were born is to remain forever a child. That's from Cicero, who lived a long time ago, but he still makes sense. This occurs to me when I'm confronted by examples of thoroughbred racing forsaking its own history. As racetracks are closed, torn down, and only a few of them rebuilt, their history becomes part of the rubble. Much was lost at Bay Meadows and then at Golden Gate. And as for Hollywood Park, we can't even find the statue of Bill Shoemaker and Swaps that greeted clubhouse patrons for more than half a century. Publicity departments should be replaced by preservation departments. Every racetrack should have a space somewhere dedicated to a combination museum and hall of local fame that can be rescued if need be as a standalone resource worthy of survival.
Nice. All right, Dora, you're on the clock.
The proposed United Wage Cell program manufacturers, health, pensions, and childcare. A small united effort from everyone in the industry can create a sustainable and impactful solution for both equine welfare and the well-being of our workforce.
Great. Liza, you're up.
Imagine if the creator of a hit song never earned royalties from its streams or sales. Taylor Swift might not be a billionaire. That's the reality for breeders who often miss out on the long-term value of their horses. What if breeders earned royalties from sales, races, or even from its foal's achievements for years to come? Using NFTs, Donna, smart contracts, this is possible. These tools embed royalty structures into a horse's NFT, ensuring automatic payments from race earnings, sales, or breeding transactions. This technology is already used in music and art, and it can reward breeders fairly, incentivize quality practices, and foster innovation.
Robert, I think we have a workshop agenda for next year. Let's move on to Dick.
Similar to the fractional odds, you still get newcomers come to the track, horses 3 to 1. 3 to 1 should pay $6. No, pays $8. So we have to explain 3 times 2 plus 2 equals 8. Well, that gets tiring. It's not really embraceable for newcomers. The rest of the world does it. 3 to 1 pays $6, and it's just a whole lot easier for everyone to follow. When Hong Kong televises their races, they have an American version of their broadcast, and they have to subtract a $6 horse over there is going to be 3 to 1 over here. It's going to be 2 to 1. So the odds have to be 2 to 1 instead of 3 to 1. It's confusing. It's also confusing when you listen to the broadcast. They do an awesome job, but when they're talking pricing, it's not the same as our pricing. We're kind of on an island with this. The rest of the world just does it 3 to 1, pays $6. Just why not?
Alex, you're up.
Okay, we have the luxury of having so many unique moments to present to people. I mean, I can't think of better Insta moments for people to be able to put on their reels and show off to their friends. And so we have to get more behind-the-scenes access to fans and people, especially for the standardbreds, that we have such an advantage. These horses, our horses, are so much more calm. We have the ability to put people in the starting gate and ride around with the horses. It needs to be used much more often to give that behind-the-scenes access to fans and newcomers. That's how they can really get engaged in our game.
Do we have a graphic for Jay on this? Jay, you're up. Hopefully there's a graphic.
I would like to believe that to be hired by any kind of thoroughbred racing company, an applicant these days must be familiar with the history of the sport. You can fake the language, but you can't fake the lore. To that end, I would recommend these 3 books as required reading. First, This Was Racing. It's an essential collection by Joe Palmer, who was a humorist, horse player, and columnist for the New York Tribune. Second, The Fireside Book of Horse Racing, edited by David Alexander. This is a treasure chest containing racing stories by a who's who of great sports writers like Granite Rice, Damon Runyon, and Red Smith. You can even find D.H. Lawrence in there. And finally, History of Thoroughbred Racing in America by William H.P. Robertson. This is one of those open it anywhere kind of books and dive in. It begins pre-colonial days in North America and was published in 1964. Unfortunately, there's been no second edition, but there's always hope.
You have me at Damon Runyon. Let's go to Dora.
Establish a centralized pool of talent within the thoroughbred racing industry, accessible to all organizations for major events and initiatives. There's an axiom that says, a rising tide lifts all boats. So our industry, instead of being out for each individual racetrack, should really create these industry think tanks to foster the exchange of ideas, ensuring a collective problem solving and innovation. Promote consistency and excellence by sharing proven strategies to elevate the sport's visibility and appeal, and provide adequate staffing for these major events and daily operations so that every racetrack, regardless of size, has access to those same skilled personnel to elevate their patrons' experience. Industry organizations could contribute to and draw from this shared resource, allowing for a more unified
10.
So then,
Oh, we're done. Okay, we're moving on to Liza. Liza.
Bigger field sizes drive higher handle, fueling larger purses, and attracting new owners, creating a cycle of growth. Yet trainers spend hours poring over condition books and on the phone with racing offices, while racing offices lack real-time data insights into what horses are ready to run and which races they're eligible for. An AI-powered condition book solves these inefficiencies. Trainers can instantly see what races their horses are eligible for, including extras, and racing offices can receive automatically updated lists of horses, making it easier to fill races quickly and efficiently. With AI, we can streamline the process, boost participation, and grow field sizes, which leads to higher handle and a stronger, more modernized industry. And we heard from Michael Novak earlier about the practicalities of how this can be implemented.
Nice job looking at the clock. Dig, pal.
It should be pretty simple. The finish is at the end of the race, but where is the finish? Some racetracks, the mirror is before the pole, some after. When you have turf races with temporary rails, God knows where the finish line is. And why don't we have, there's a thing called shutter cam, which just does a frame-by-frame analysis of the horses coming up to the wire, first, second, third, fourth. The results are in 10 seconds. There shouldn't be any delay in knowing what the final placings were, but it requires a camera that's perpendicularly on the finish line. Here's the rail, here's the finish, not at an angle. There shouldn't be any angles, and yet we still have that constantly with racetracks. I hope the new Belmont, which is being done from scratch and certainly could be incorporated, has that kind of technology where the camera is right on the line, you slow it down, and we know who won the race.
Seems simple. Alex?
We need to create a clearinghouse for social media content. The horses are the story. The trainers have all the access to the horses, and some people will share and create content themselves, but it's all disjointed. And so if there could be a clearinghouse operated by the racetrack or operated by the Horsemen's Association, whatever, and then organized to on daily, multi-times a day around big events, it would just get more content out there. It would be more streamlined and uniform, and it would have a bigger impact, I think.
Jay, you have time to spare now.
I've been writing a series of articles about popular horse racing movies for Thoroughbred Racing Commentary, but I think it's also important to sample works of nonfiction as well. In that spirit, I recommend these 3 documentaries. First, Racetrack by the famed documentarian Frederick Weissman. This is a fly-on-the-wall portrait of New York racing through a brief 1983 window of time that speaks to very universal truths of the game. The first Saturday in May by the Henning brothers, Brad and John, they embedded themselves in all things, every aspect of the 2006 Kentucky Derby, and emerged with a real masterpiece of celebration and insight. And finally, Lost in the Fog by John Corey. You have to prepare for a sad and inspiring tale, because if you know the story, you know how it ends, but you won't regret the time shared with the very incredible people and this special horse.
All right, Dora, don't let me scare you with the 10.
The population of really great globe-trotting horses is shrinking, and it's a great thing for our fans to be able to see these horses race all over the world. But current associated regulations for horses competing internationally at this graded group level are overly burdensome, expensive, and often redundant. So working cooperatively, we need to develop a streamlined high-level certificate specifically for these elite competitors. The certificate would ensure horses meet all necessary health and safety standards while simplifying compliance for international travel. This would reduce unnecessary costs and administrative burdens for owners, trainers, racing organizations, and facilitate smoother international participation, enhancing the global presence of our top equine athletes by allowing their fans to
10.
We just need to align with international standards to promote this consistency and trust among our racing jurisdictions.
Great. Liza?
When you're buying a house to flip, you rely on data, market value, renovation costs, and resale potential to reduce risk. Yet when you buy a horse, it often depends on subjective judgment and that buyer's individual experience. What if we add analysis tools to the process? With AI, we could provide valuations and even confirmation analysis, reducing guesswork and valuation gaps. These tools won't replace expert judgment, but enhance it, empowering buyers to make informed decisions. By introducing more transparency and confidence into transactions, we can bring more liquidity to the market, benefiting everyone from breeders to buyers.
Dick?
You watch a race, you hear the call of the race, something happened, someone got checked, whatever, and yet we're waiting for the light to flash, and the stewards are not blinking the race. Now, the stewards all assure me, we're looking at it, don't worry, Dick, we're looking at it. But by not blinking the light, we don't get to see the camera angles that you're getting to see. So now we're trusting that you're looking at it and trusting that you're going to get it right. And me as a horse player, I tend to lack trust in certain issues like that. So I just don't know why they can't just flash it and then take it down. You know, if it's nothing, it's nothing. If it's worth examining, then go to the full examination. But it just doesn't instill a lot of confidence in horse players when we see something happen and we don't necessarily see the stewards respond to it.
Yeah, a grievance we've all heard expressed for many years. Alex?
I think that everyone knows the hardest thing with our game is a new person comes to the track and they have no idea what to bet. How do I bet? What am I looking for? I mean, it's easy to pick a name you like, that's fine, but they don't really know the process. And it's really takes a lifetime to learn the process. But I think, and I apologize if this already exists, but I think there can be an app offered by the track or the Horsemen's Association, almost like a role-playing game that people play, where you have a character and you have a number of points that you could assign to different attributes for your character to make them strong or fast or whatever, but same thing for the horses. I want a horse that's going to go to the front, I want a closer, I want an experienced horse, I want a fast horse, whatever it is, you have a certain number of points, you assign that to have the app tell you, all right, well, you prefer number 2 or number 4, and it could help newbies.
Great. Jay?
A point of personal privilege. The guy on the left is Jay Privman, widely respected national correspondent for Racing Forum, now retired. The guy on the right is Jay Hovdey. That's me with my favorite racing mule, Black Ruby. She's on the right. For years, both Jays worked for the Racing Forum. Both Jays were based in California, and both were named Jay. This, for some reason, confused people terribly. Jay Hovdey would be congratulated for some honor that Jay Privman received. Jay Privman would be asked all the time, how's your wife, Julie Crone, who was actually married to Jay Hovdey? But Jay was a groomsman at our wedding, so that probably didn't help. Anyway, as recently as last month, I was congratulated for something that Jay Privman had accomplished. I accepted it very graciously. And I couldn't do anything else because now I'm getting a little confused myself.
People still ask me if I'm Julie Crone. Dora?
Tracks to make some necessary investments to their infrastructure and deliver a seamless, engaging, and guided experience for all our racers, especially novices using the latest technology which is being employed at other sporting and entertainment venues. For example, RFID bracelets would scan into kiosks to access personalized guidance, including locations for concessions, merchandise, the best place to view a race, interactive maps and wagering guides. Could be available on your smartphones, providing step-by-step directions based on your location at the track. As an example, near the paddock, the app suggests the best path to view horses and offers insights into each runner via augmented reality. Imagine pointing the phone at a horse in a paddock and through AR seeing its stats
10.
or details displayed above it in real time. The goal would be to create an immersive and intuitive race day experience that educates and engages.
Great. Liza's going to tell us about stuff we don't understand again.
How much time do trainers, farm managers, and breeders waste searching for coggins, getting health certificates, or vaccination histories? While HICE is making strides in streamlining health data, we still lack an efficient, centralized way to store and access medical records. Blockchain technology offers a secure, decentralized solution to store records, and this would allow trainers, vets, and sales companies to access vital information instantly, saving time and avoiding costly errors. By adopting blockchain for health records, we can enhance efficiency, improve care, and modernize an age-old problem.
I love it. Dick?
In 2018, the $1 million cotillion stakes was run at Parks Racing. In the stretch, Monomoy Girl is bearing out and carrying Midnight Bisou out to the middle of the track. Race is finished, jockeys pull up, stewards never light the lamp. They rightfully took down Monomoy Girl, put up Midnight Bisou, but they never filed an inquiry. So if the jock didn't file a claim, does the result stand? Now my point is, jockeys ride for lots of stables. Many are very powerful. Richard Migliore tells a story about filing a claim against Barry Schwartz's stable years ago, and he was off that stable for over a year because they didn't like him filing a claim when he rode for Pete Ferriola. But it's like the stewards have to understand, if they don't blink it, you can't rely on the jock to file a claim. It could be the jock's agent's other rider. It could be a giant stable that he doesn't want to lose influence with. Just make the call.
Great point. Alex?
When I worked at the Meadowlands, we had a fun area outside. People would basically drink beers and have fun, and they weren't really knowledgeable horse players. We had our track handicapper out there, and he would try to help them out. And it turned into he would take a group pick 4 ticket, and people would just buy like $5 worth. And I'm not sure it was really allowed, but that's what happened. And then one time they hit for 5 figures. It was crazy. It was total craziness. People were like so happy, and we were a little nervous about how this was going to work out. But anyway, it worked out. But the point is, again, about the newbies and helping them out. If there could be an organized way that the track, when you walk in, you could buy $5 towards whatever, and the known, public handicapper is putting a ticket together. Could be fun for people that don't have their own opinions already.
Hopefully legal. Jay?
Yeah, hopefully.
The Eclipse Awards dinner was once a movable feast. Through the first 10 years, the Oscars of horse racing were presented in New York, Los Angeles, Miami, San Francisco, New Orleans, Las Vegas, San Diego, Palm Springs, and even Washington, D.C. This invigorated the event and exposed the best face of horse racing to a variety of audiences, which is always a good thing. And when the event became underwritten in large part by the Stronach Group and First Racing, it became pretty much a permanent Florida fixture. Now Resolute Racing has become the title sponsor, and Resolute's John Stewart is not a slave to the status quo. In 2025, it's going to be in Florida for the 13th time in 15 years. But starting in 2026, let's put the show back on the road.
Dora?
Host open house days at local racetracks to welcome first-time visitors in a relaxed, pressure-free environment. Embrace a no pressure, no dumb questions philosophy to make newcomers feel comfortable learning about horse racing. I literally overheard a first-timer at the racetrack ponder why the horses came out in pairs onto the racetrack. Why did one have pom-poms in his tail and the other didn't? They just don't know what they're looking at, and unless they're with the knowledgeable race fan, how would they learn? So offer that free access, get local food favorites to come out, give them premium unused seats for an up-close view of the action, include betting vouchers. I mean, the long-term benefits are that first-time attendees can translate to new revenue streams through concessions, wagering, and merchandise. By creating a low barrier entry point for newcomers to discover and fall in love with horse racing, they'll ensure that they feel welcomed and excited, and they're more likely to return.
Liza?
With declining fans, viewership, and ownership, our industry needs a bold, innovative strategy to secure its future. A fan engagement app can offer a unique way to reignite interest to a broader, younger audience. This app can gamify education about racing and breeding and make it fun and accessible. Fans could virtually manage a stable, learn about pedigrees, or experience the thrill of preparing a horse for a big race. We could also integrate augmented reality and virtual reality to create immersive experiences, like walking through a farm and seeing the foals, or experiencing a race from a jockey's perspective. By combining education with technology, we can deepen fan engagement and foster new ownership interests to drive the long-term passion for our sport forward.
Nice. Dick?
As Jay pointed out, we have a lot of claiming races, and yet in some industries, they'll tell you who was claimed, and even during the race, they'll say so-and-so's in for the claim. We just don't hear that often enough. The claiming game is kind of mysterious to people. The race is over. We should easily know who was claimed out of that race. And I know there's all sorts of things that have to take place afterwards, but at least it gives the fans a level of engagement and knowledge about what's going on in the race. If I knew before the race who was claimed, which sometimes people do, believe it or not, the word can get out, it might affect whether I'm going to bet the horse. If he's in for a claim and the owner knows he's in for the claim, they might be pushing pretty hard because they know they're going to lose the horse. So just claiming race is just the more information the better can have, the better it will be.
Great. Alex?
Yeah, I want to align people's interests in the game more. Unfortunately, the way things are, most horsemen want to race in as small a field as possible, and obviously the most racetracks want as big a field as possible. And you know what happens is the horsemen will be in a 5-horse field and they're thrilled, and it hurts the track, So if there was a way the purses can be adjusted, after draw based on how many horses start, it gives incentive to both parties. The track is obviously happier and better off with the bigger field, but then the horsemen will be happy too because they're going to get a bigger purse for the bigger field. I think it's just a fairer way to address it.
Jay?
Edward Erickson was my maternal grandfather. He was an all-around sports nut. He was the man that took me to Agua Caliente and Del Mar as a kid, and he showed me how to read the entries and the results in the San Diego Union. I probably would have discovered horse racing eventually on my own, but I give him all the credit in the world. When our family lived for a brief time in St. Louis and he came for a visit, we had to find him a racetrack. So I discovered Cahokia Downs across the river. I realized that grandparents are different today. Grandpas surf the net, grandmas play pickleball, but kids take their cues more from doting grandparents than they do from judgmental parents. And that's why every racetrack in every town should have a special day set aside, or days devoted to grandparents and their children. Treat them like kings and queens, and I guarantee you will make as many young fans that way as you will all the social media in the world.
Dora?
Let's engage that next generation by creating youth clubs for racing enthusiasts. Foster a love for horse racing in the local community by engaging young people and partnering with their schools to create educational and hands-on experiences. Establish clubs in collaboration with schools to teach students about horse racing, equine welfare, and the industry's many career opportunities. Offer exciting field trips to racetracks, including behind-the-scenes tours and interactions with horses on the backside. Provide those students with real-world exposure, such as grooming, feeding, learning about training routines. Create those immersive experiences that connect them to the sport. Partner with local high schools to offer co-op programs that allow students to work in various roles at the track for curriculum credit, including such areas as accounting, legal, marketing, and sports management. Build a strong pipeline of future fans and professionals by making horse racing accessible, educational, and inspiring for young people.
Liza?
Declining viewership and handle are some of our largest problems, yet horse racing remains one of the hardest sports to watch. To attract new fans and increase interest, we need to make viewing races more seamless and accessible. NYRA has set an excellent example by making their races free on YouTube. We should build on this momentum and create a centralized platform where fans and participants can watch all races without needing a betting app or an outdated TV subscription. By simplifying access to the sport, we can engage a broader audience and introduce new fans to racing, and ultimately drive higher handle and more viewership. Accessibility is the key to the future of horse racing, and it's time we take a unified approach to streaming.
Dick?
Part of the handicapping puzzle is to understand how horses ran under which conditions, and track conditions are critical. And yet, a couple weeks ago, I'm watching a race, and the simulcast feed said sloppy, sealed, but the Equibase chart that came out 10 minutes after the race said sloppy. So which is it? We get that constantly, and we get tracks misidentified, or if you saw any of the Saratoga races this year with Sierra Leone, he would come back on a fast track covered with mud. Now, I'm not saying it was a muddy track, but there was a tremendous amount of moisture in those racetracks. Well, Dr. Palmer from the New York Gaming Commission is working on a system where they would do moisture content measurements on dirt, turf, inner turf, and Saratoga, and at least give us some numerical analysis of how much moisture is in the track relative to other days or other races held that day.
Alex?
I think everyone in the room knows the single ticket jackpot bets are terrible. They take money out of churn. They're confusing for people, and especially in the beginning when they came around, nobody knew what they were betting, and we should just get rid of it. It's a very simple thought. That's it.
So, but since we have time,
Yeah.
jackpot bet, is that a pick six, or what kind of bet is it?
It could be, it's offered in different things, but if we say pick six, you have to be the only ticket that has all six.
Okay.
So if you and I both have it, we don't win. We get like, you know, it carries over until there's a single winner.
An example of how nobody understands it.
Well, I mean, it's been around now. I think people understand it, and I think people understand to stay away from it.
Yeah.
But it's still offered some places, and I don't know, we could just do better. There's better things to offer.
Okay. Jay, what do you have to offer?
Richard Mandela said several years ago that the closest most Americans get to a horse anymore is on a merry-go-round. He was not wrong then, and it's still true today, because there's nothing to compare to the real thing. I'm for anything that enhances the live racing experience through exposure to our four-legged stars. I've witnessed the joyful reaction of people, of fans of all ages, when they're in close contact with horses, whether they're lead ponies or close enough to the real racehorses. On big event days, along with wine tastings and food trucks, there should be paddocks set up with a variety of breeds, maybe with retired racehorses well known to local horse players, displays of equine versatility. A few years ago in Albuquerque, for the premiere of the movie 50 to 1, about Mind That Bird's shocker in the Derby, they closed off Main Street and put up a temporary corral, and a van rolled in, and Mind That Bird himself came off the van to cheers from all the crowd and set up shop in front of the theater. Unforgettable experience for them, and should be for anyone that can get that close to great horses.
Liza. Oh, no, sorry, Dora.
Leverage the connection between thoroughbred racing and sports figures who are active participants in the industry to create cross-promotional opportunities. Partner with these athletes to promote the sport to their fan base, which is already happening with people like Jason Worth, Walker Bueller, Alex Bregman, and many others. Feature these figures in a collaborative event such as a racetrack promotion or social media campaign. Co-host events that blend thoroughbred racing with other sports such as meet and greets with sports memorabilia giveaways or charity races featuring sports celebrities. Organize events where athletes from different sports compete in horse-related challenges while trainers and jockeys try that athlete sport. Pair them together for mentoring. Incorporate dual event tickets, offering race day tickets packaged with tickets to a local game.
10.
Market by promoting thoroughbred racing during major events. So I think there's just a lot of opportunity to do some cross-promotional promotion of each sport.
Thanks. Liza?
In today's data-driven world, horse racing lags behind in transparency. Critical information from past performances to breeding insights is often locked away, limiting innovation. By sharing data more freely, we open the door to transformative possibilities. Accessible data enables the creation of powerful algorithms to create breeding decisions and introduce new bettors to the sport. On-track fans and bettors can engage more deeply and create more of a connection. Data transparency isn't just about availability, it's about modernizing horse racing to meet the expectation of today's tech-savvy world. As we heard earlier, Horse Racing Nation and Equibase are making data more available, and we all need to follow in their footsteps.
Dick Powell.
Luckily, it turns out that my friends from the National Museum of Racing are working on this, but we have a sensational history in our sport. And yet, every year we lose members of our sport, and we haven't really captured their stories, their history, their color, all that stuff that is easy to do nowadays with technology. So the museum is working on many Hall of Fame members and getting their memories and things like that. But we need to do it across Hall of Famers, local tracks, whoever it might be, and just have like B-roll footage. It doesn't have to be edited or made into a slick product, but just capture all these things. Can you imagine, I don't know if anyone remembers Leon Bluzowicz. Can you imagine having 2 hours of Leon Bluzowicz on tape? I mean, that would be priceless. And yet that opportunity has passed. But the museum's going to do a great job with it, and hopefully we can get a government grant or a sponsor and make it even more inclusive.
All right, this is our last round, and Alex, you kick us off.
All right, I've wanted to do this forever and never been able to do it. But, you know, I started out being a horse player, loved it, moved on to be a poker player, loved it. Now I'm betting sports, love it. But all three gambling pursuits share the same thing. Everyone's complaining about that bad beat. They were going to win X, but this happened. You were going to cash this huge ticket, but that happened. And we have to listen. We have to listen to our friends, and then we tell our story, and they listen, and that's fine. We're all used to that. But so what I wanted to do is have the racetrack open up a bad beat booth, have a charming person there to get abused by the horse players. Would this happen, that happened? But like, as the Hall of Famer, a former colleague, Bob Hayden, would say, we would be betting upstairs and people would be complaining, and he would say, tickets, because you got to have the ticket too. You can't just have a story, you have to produce the evidence that you had the ticket. And then the big bad beat booth guy can win a prize at the end of the month or year.
All right, Jay, try saying that fast 5 times. Your turn.
If you listen to California racing people, the sport will disappear within a few years if supplemental sources of purse funding are not developed. For that to happen, racing needs the cooperation of state government. For that to happen, state government needs to listen to racing's representatives. On the undercard of the November 1st Breeders' Cup program, there was a stakes race named for Senator Ken Maddie. He was the state Senate leader in an era when the party politics of California were split about 50-50. He was a pragmatic guy who loved racing, and he carried the ball for a lot of important legislative horse racing measures. The racing business, as we know, leans decidedly conservative, and while today California politics is dominated by the other team, but that should not matter. The health of horse racing is too important. It should be apolitical, and California racing must find a new Ken Maddie, buy one, rent one, whatever it takes, so that the interests of horse racing are listened to in the best places.
Great. Dora, you're up.
So we need to collaborate and partner with fashion designers to create a racing style lookbook. It's a thing. They need to. It's such an influencer based TikTok movement with get ready with me videos, preparing for your day at the races, and your outfit selection, your makeup, your accessories. There's a whole subculture of get ready with me videos, and racing events are just custom made for this. So I think tracks should host influencers at their events to share their experiences, partner with these fashion designers to send the influencers fashion that the racetrack wants to be showcased at the event. There's a whole world, I think, that we're just not really tapping into with young women that really want to follow this and want to meet these influencers at their local racetracks.
Yeah, Royal Ascot does a great job of this. Liza.
Mm-hmm. I've seen one of the most popular musicians get turned down for access to a horse at a race when he was going to use that footage in a music video that got over 50 million views on YouTube alone. As Dora said, to engage the younger generation, we need a solid influencer strategy. and target platforms like TikTok and Instagram. While some tracks are excelling in this area, others are falling behind, while creators are already there on site. Influencers have the power to make horse racing more relatable and exciting for a younger audience by getting behind-the-scenes access and race day experiences or fashion, and experience the thrill of the sport in a way that really resonates. A thoughtfully designed influencer program can rejuvenate the sport's image and draw in new fans.
Mr. Powell.
You're betting a claiming race. You see in the past performances, last time out the horse was claimed, but the claim was voided. Now, what happened? Was he injured? Was he limping back to the barn? Did he fail a drug test? What happened? Could be as simple as someone filled out the claim slip incorrectly, spelt a name wrong with one character. There's all sorts of reasons why claims get voided, and yet we're never told. We just see voided claim in the past performances. And yes, you can do a little bit of digging to see if he went on a vet list after the race, but still, just give us the information, please.
Well, we end early. I think you'll all agree this was a fabulous idea, 50 great ideas in 50 minutes. And now I think Robert is going to invite you to a drink.
Yeah, so just so everybody knows, on your way out, we do have 4 students, 1 at each door, handing out a printout of these ideas, so you could take them home with you, circle the ones you like. Following this panel, we are going to have a Chuck Simon memorial, so those of you that want to share your memories with Chuck, if you could just come towards the front.